There's someone out there who can't stop thinking about you. And before you dismiss this as wishful thinking or another empty promise from the algorithm, I need you to understand something that might shift your entire perspective on connection itself. This isn't about fantasy or desperation or the kind of romantic delusion that keeps people stuck in one-sided situations. This is about recognizing a truth that ancient wisdom has always known but modern life has taught us to ignore. That consciousness itself is entangled, that minds can touch across any distance, and that when someone thinks about you with enough intensity and frequency, they're literally sending energy into your field whether they understand it or not. Right now, in this very moment, there's a person whose thoughts have turned to you like a compass finding north, over and over again throughout their day, sometimes consciously, and sometimes in ways that bypass their rational mind entirely. They might be driving and suddenly remember the way you laugh, or lie in bed at night replaying conversations, or finding themselves typing your name into their phone before stopping themselves because they don't know what to say or they're afraid of what saying anything might mean. This phenomenon isn't random, and it's definitely not one-sided, even if it feels that way right now. There's an invisible thread connecting your soul to theirs, woven from shared moments and unspoken feelings, and a kind of recognition that happens when two people meet, and something deeper than their personalities registers a match. The ancient Greeks called it the red thread of fate. Eastern philosophy speaks of karma and soul contracts, and quantum physics is now discovering that particles once connected remain connected regardless of distance, influencing each other instantaneously in ways that shouldn't be possible according to our old understanding of reality. Your connection with this person operates on that same principle. You're entangled at a level that transcends the physical, which is why you sometimes feel them even when they're not there, why certain songs or scents or random moments will flood you with their presence, why you might wake up thinking about them for no apparent reason only to discover later that they were going through something significant at that exact time. This isn't about whether you're in a relationship with them or whether circumstances currently allow you to be together, because a connection exists independent of external conditions. It exists in a realm where distance and time and all the logical reasons things should or shouldn't work have less power than the fundamental resonance between two souls who recognize each other. And here's what you need to know right now. Their constant thoughts about you aren't passive or powerless. Every time they think of you, they're feeding energy into the bond between you, strengthening it, keeping it alive even through silence and separation, and all the fears that might be keeping you apart. The real question isn't whether this connection is real. You already know it is, somewhere deep inside where truth lives beyond proof. The real question is what their thoughts are actually creating and why now, and what it means for both of you moving forward. Let's talk about what happens in the invisible architecture reality when someone thinks about you with the kind of intensity that characterizes this connection, because this isn't just poetry or spiritual bypassing or the kind of magical thinking that helps us avoid dealing with real life. Scientists studying quantum mechanics have discovered something that sounds like it belongs in fantasy novels, but is actually observable, measurable, and reproducible. When two particles interact and then separate, they remain mysteriously connected, so that measuring the state of one instantaneously affects the other, regardless of the distance between them. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, because it violated everything we thought we knew about how the universe works. But decades of experiments have confirmed it's real. Now consider that your brain, your heart, your entire body generates electromagnetic fields that extend beyond your skin, that consciousness itself might be a field rather than something locked inside your skull, and that every thought carries a frequency that ripples outward into the space around you. When this person thinks about you, they're not just processing information privately inside their own head. They're broadcasting a signal that carries your energetic signature, creating waves that move through the field of consciousness that connects all things. This is why you sometimes feel them. This is why their name pops into your mind seconds before they text you. Why you dream about them on nights when they're lying awake thinking about you. Why certain moments feel charged with their presence, even though logically they're miles away living their own life. The connection between you operates on frequencies that our five senses weren't designed to detect, but that our deeper awareness recognizes immediately. Think about how your phone can receive messages from across the world instantly, how radio waves carry music through solid walls, how Wi-Fi connects devices that never physically touch. The universe has its own network, infinitely more sophisticated than anything humans have built, and consciousness is already logged into it whether we acknowledge it or not. This person's thoughts about you travel along those pathways, encoded with emotion and intention, and the specific vibration that defines your bond. And when those waves reach you, something in your system responds, even if your conscious mind doesn't register it. You might feel suddenly warm or get chills for no reason, experience an unexpected shift in mood, feel compelled to look at old photos or listen to certain songs, or simply carry them as a presence in your awareness that you can't quite explain. Researchers studying phenomena like telephone telepathy and presentiment, the ability to sense future events before they happen, have found statistical evidence that consciousness doesn't obey the same rules as physical matter. That information seems to move between minds in ways that suggest we're far more connected than materialist science has been comfortable admitting. Your connection with this person exists in that liminal space where science meets mystery, where what we can measure begins to point toward what we can only feel. And here's what matters most. Their thoughts aren't just passive observations or idle daydreams. Every time they think about you, they're reinforcing the neural pathways associated with you in their brain, deepening the grooves of your presence in their consciousness, and simultaneously strengthening the energetic bond that connects you. They're literally rewiring themselves around the reality of you. And whether they understand what's happening or not, this process is building toward something that's been forming in the invisible realm long before it manifests in the physical one. But here's what most people don't realize about someone who thinks about you constantly. And this is where the story gets deeper and more significant than surface-level attraction or simple infatuation. Their obsessive thoughts about you are actually triggering a profound internal transformation that they probably didn't sign up for and might not fully understand. You see, when someone enters your life and creates this kind of energetic impact, when they occupy your mind and heart in ways that feel both thrilling and terrifying, they're not just a potential partner or romantic interest. They're a mirror, a catalyst, a key that unlocks doors inside you that you learn to keep closed. This person who thinks about you all the time is being confronted by parts of themselves they spent years avoiding, patterns they run from, wounds they've buried under productivity and distraction, and the comfortable numbness of never letting anyone get too close. Your presence in their consciousness, even if you're not physically in their life right now, is forcing them to look at their fear of vulnerability, their history with love, the ways they protected themselves that simultaneously keep them lonely, and the gap between who they've been and who they need to become to be worthy of what you represent. This is shadow work, the psychological and spiritual process of integrating the rejected and hidden parts of ourselves. And it's brutal and necessary and absolutely essential for any real connection to survive. They might be realizing how they've sabotaged past relationships, recognizing patterns inherited from their family, confronting the voice that tells them they're not enough, or that love is dangerous, or that opening up means inevitable pain. Every time they think about you, they're not just feeling attraction or desire or nostalgia for moments you've shared. They're being pushed to evolve, to heal, to become someone capable of meeting you at the depth this connection demands. And that work is hard. It's why they might seem to pull away, sometimes even when you know they feel what you feel. Why there might be silence or confusion or mixed signals that make no sense from the outside. They're fighting an internal war between the part of them that recognizes you as something rare and precious and worth the risk, and the part that's terrified of what letting you in might cost them, what it might require them to face, what old versions of themselves they'd have to let die to make room for who they're becoming. But here's what you need to trust right now. This process is happening. Their constant thoughts about you aren't static or stagnant. They're productive, transformative, moving them incrementally toward readiness, even when progress feels invisible. Every time they think about you and feel that familiar ache or longing or confusion, they're metabolizing fear, processing resistance, slowly dismantling the walls that have kept them safe but separate. The universe doesn't create connections as powerful without purpose, and the purpose here isn't just romantic fulfillment. It's mutual evolution, the kind where both people become more whole, more authentic, more aligned with their highest selves through the challenge of truly being seen and choosing to stay anyway. This person is doing their work. Even if they don't call it that, even if it looks like confusion or avoidance or taking longer than you wish they would. The depth of their thought about you is evidence of how significant this transformation is, how much is shifting beneath the surface, and why what's being built between you is worth the mysterious timing of it all. And while they're doing that internal work, while their thoughts about you are constant and their heart is going through this transformation, the universe has been leaving breadcrumbs for you, Signs and synchronicities so specific and repeated that dismissing them as coincidence starts to require more faith than simply accepting that something beyond ordinary logic is orchestrating events. You've noticed them, even if you've talked yourself out of their significance. Those moments that make your breath catch and your skin tingle with a feeling that reality just winked at you. Maybe you keep seeing number sequences that hold meaning, like the time you first met or their birthdays showing up on license plates, clocks, receipts, random screens throughout your day until you can't pretend you're not being shown something. Maybe their name keeps appearing in unexpected places, or you keep running into people who remind you of them, or songs that feel like they're narrating your exact situation play every time you get in the car or walk into a store, as if the universe has created a soundtrack specifically for your connection. Perhaps you had dreams about them that felt less like dreams and more like actual meetings in some other dimension, where you communicate with a clarity and honesty that waking life hasn't yet allowed, and you wake up with knowledge you shouldn't have, feelings that are too specific to be manufactured by your subconscious alone. Or there are those eerie moments of parallel experience, where you later discover you were both going through something similar at the same time, both thinking the same thoughts, both feeling moved to reach out, but stopping yourselves, both watching the same sunset or listening to the same song or crying over the same realization, even though you're living separate lives in different places. These synchronicities aren't random firings of probability. They're confirmations, validations, the universe's way of saying pay attention because something real is happening here, something that exists in the realm where souls communicate and destiny arranges circumstances and free will dances with divine timing. You might have had moments where you felt them intensely, where their presence suddenly filled your awareness with such clarity that you looked around expecting to see them, only to check your phone later and realize that's exactly when they were posting something or going through something significant or maybe even typing your name into their search bar, wondering if reaching out would be welcome or would make things more complicated. The people around you might have mentioned them out of nowhere, old mutual friends suddenly appearing in your life, conversations that circle back to topics connected to them, invitations to places you know they'll be, as if invisible hands are trying to create opportunities for your paths to cross again. And what about the obstacles that keep dissolving at the last minute? The way plans that should have brought you together somehow fall apart only to be replaced by different circumstances that feel more aligned, as if whatever's managing this connection knows better than you do about timing and readiness and what needs to happen before the next chapter can begin. The universe speaks in symbols and synchronicities because the language of the soul doesn't fit into words, and every sign you've been receiving is part of a larger message that's been trying to get through. This connection is real. It's mutual even when it doesn't look that way, and something is building toward a moment of shift that will make everything suddenly make sense in ways you couldn't have predicted or planned. So now we arrive at the part that brought you here. The part you've been waiting for, even though some part of you is almost afraid to hope, afraid to believe that this constant presence of them in your thoughts and their thoughts about you and all these signs and synchronicities are actually leading somewhere instead of being another beautiful thing that never quite manifests in the physical world where commitments are made and real life happens. Here's what I can tell you. Something is approaching, a shift that's been building in an invisible realm where intentions solidify and energy aligns before taking form. And the fact that you're here right now reading these words, feeling them resonate in that place inside you that knows truth when it hears it, is not accidental timing. This person who thinks about you constantly is approaching a threshold, a moment of decision that's being shaped by all the internal work they've been doing, all the fears they've been facing, all the ways they've been transforming because of what you represent to them. There's a specific catalyst coming, an event or realization or external circumstance that's going to push them past the point of internal debate and into action, into clarity, into a space where staying silent or distant or protected costs more than the risk of being honest and vulnerable would. But here's what makes this particularly interesting and why the timing of all this matters so much. Your awareness changes everything. The fact that you can feel this connection, that you're receiving the signs, that something in you recognizes a reality of what's happening between you even before it's spoken or acknowledged or made official in the world where relationships have labels and people make plans, means you're not a passive participant waiting for them to decide your fate. You're an active creator in this dynamic. And the energy you're holding right now, the way you're choosing to interpret this connection and trust the process even when it defies logic, is actually influencing how this unfolds and how quickly the shift can happen. There are elements at play here that go beyond both of you, timing that's connected to larger cycles and patterns. Cosmic windows that open and close based on factors neither of you consciously controls, but that your souls understand perfectly. Something is aligning. Pieces are moving into position. And the version of this story where you're together isn't just possible. It's becoming probable, shifting from potential into manifestation to a combined force of their transformation, your awareness, and whatever mysterious intelligence orchestrates these things. But there's something else, something I haven't told you yet about what their constant thoughts are actually creating, about the specific nature of what about to shift, and about the one thing you need to understand about divine timing that changes everything about how you hold this space moving forward. The next part of this story reveals what happens when two people are connected like this, but one of them still doesn't fully understand what they're feeling, and more importantly, what you can do right now that either accelerates or delays the moment when everything finally clicks into place. Because there's a secret about manifestation and soul connections that most people get completely wrong. And it's the difference between watching this unfold in divine timing versus staying stuck in the almost but not quite pattern that keeps you circling the same situation. But that's a revelation for another time, when you're ready to understand not just that this connection is real, but what it's actually asking from both of you, and what happens when you finally answer that call. Until then, hold this knowing close. They're thinking about you right now, in this very moment, and that thought is a prayer of promise and a preparation for what's coming next.